welcome back to part 2 of my 2-year anniversary world tour sort of kind of thing, in which I've been kind of touring through my world here and revisiting things and places that I've done in the past, places I've been, things I've done, and so on. And at this point I just returned from that portal, which goes to a workshop slash mob farm slash cave area near the country estate. This portal goes back to the basement of the country estate. And let's see, at some point, I was trying to pick up where I left off, trying to remember what I was doing. This is actually the second time I have recorded this, because the first time I recorded about 57 minutes, and only to discover when I got this into the video editor that my mic had been disabled the entire time. So rather than doing post commentary, which I really hate doing, it's a lot less genuine and spontaneous and so on, comes off a lot more contrived. I think I could just redo the whole thing. So anyway, at some point I remember what happened. The mob farm thing that I did way up north back in 1.7.3, the passive mob farm. I thought I'd try another something kind of like it, only this time for hostiles, based on Hypno's piston pusher design that he was using back then, around 1.8 or 1.9-ish or something like that. Beta 1.8 or 1.9-ish, that is. And so I went overland in the Nether, that way, a good long ways. I really want to kill you, Pigman. You know that? In fact, there's none of your buddies around here, so... I'll take the free gold. Anyway, so I went overland a good long ways. I forget exactly how far it was. Ended up digging a tunnel and putting a track, of course. And I found a spot that I thought would be fairly ideal. It's out in the middle of an ocean. Ocean outpost number 1. And that's where I built the thing. And along the way I also discovered a abandoned mine shaft and spent probably a couple of weeks of real time lighting up innumerable caves and ravines and whatnot under the area, getting it to where the thing would actually perform decently. I didn't have to worry about lighting up the surface because it's, like I said, it's in the middle of an ocean. But here it is up here. Ocean outpost number 1. It's the only land area around for at least 1,000 blocks in any direction. And it's a pretty decent design, I think. Like I said, it's Hypno's original design, as far as I understand. It's a pressure plate triggered piston pusher up top in the mob spawning area. And then down here, they land on these fence posts. And there is a neat little trick with pistons on this side and on that side. Redstone triggered, so that you hit the button. The pistons cycle out and back and allow the drops to fall into the water to be delivered down here. And it's probably hard to see at night here. Well, let's go ahead and arrange for some daylight. That'll make a little bit of sense. I just need to remember to reset my spawn, because I don't want to be spawning back here. Not unless I'm actually working back here, which I'm not going to be for a while. Okay, out there is, you can just nicely see the outline of it in the water. There's a shaft, a cobblestone shaft that I built coming up from one of my adventures in the caves down there. There's another one over there. Oops. That's okay, fall into the water. And then over on this side, there's one here, there's one out there, there's another one over there. I spent a lot of time in the underground reaches around here, and there is an amazing amount of stuff down there. I still don't think I got half of it lit up, but got a fair amount of it anyway. And this thing actually does work halfway decently now. And this is after I've cleaned a bunch of the stuff out of it. One of the things I want to do with all of my mob farms over time is to incorporate the new hoppers into creating item sorting systems, item collection and sorting systems, so that there doesn't need to be quite so much manual intervention in that. And so, otherwise, back down this way, that's a place where I went down to mine some cobblestone. I ran short during some phase of construction, and so I have a few of these tunnels down here mining cobblestone rather than going overland back to the main base, because at the time this portal and a trip through the Nether overland without a track or using a boat was the only way to get there. And let's see, down this way there is a zombie XP farm and a spider XP farm. The spider XP farm came first, and I'm not sure, I think it was one of the first places I did any XP collecting for enchantments and whatnot. The zombie farm came much later, and I didn't really need it for XP. Its main purpose was to be able to have a lot of zombies in one place so that I could get carrots and potatoes when they were introduced. And I did get one carrot, one potato. I've planted the carrots. The potato, the lone potato, is still the only one I have, and it's in a chest back at the main base. I haven't done anything with it yet. Amazing. I'm going to have to do something with it just to be complete, even if I never use the things, you know? Okay, heading back this way, if we can do so without zombie pigmen getting on the track. Apparently he wants to jump in the fire. Oh well, it must be nice to be immune to it. Let's see. And of course, along with enchanting came brewing. And I didn't do much brewing at first, mostly because it took me a long time to find the nether wart needed. And I think what I'm going to do here is head back over to the Gizmo's Island nether portal and meet you there. Alright, here we are back at the Gizmo's Island portal. And it was from here that I started two major expeditions, both of which were initially involved with finding nether wart. In the first one, I went off this way a good long ways. I mean, by a long ways, I mean like a good, I think 700, maybe 800 blocks that way. I think it's closer to 700. And I eventually did find another fortress, but the one thing it did not have was nether wart. It had everything else, but no nether wart. And eventually I did go back there and build Ethos Blaze Farm there. His design with his first design with the pistons and pressure plates and such. And it worked out pretty good. Let's see, and we'll stop by there in a little bit. But eventually I had to go down this way. I had to bridge across this lava here and head out that way a good long ways from here, and where I eventually found another nether fortress that actually had nether wart. And I got it, and I came back here, and then I did go out to this other one that I had found first. And at this one, of course, I eventually built a track and covered it in glass. And by the way, it's not that gas can't destroy glass, because I guarantee you they can. It's just simply that they can't see you through glass. And so that's just as good. And I like to be able to see what's going on around. I don't have the brightness turned up right now, but we're not going to be going overland in the Nether very much anyway, so I don't figure I need to. An awful lot of falling lava here. I once set out on a project to get rid of a lot of that. Of course, coming through here, I get a sudden burst of lag. I mean, down to... I think for a second there I was down to like 2 frames a second or something. And anyway, I end up out here. There's lots of glowstone out here yet to grab. One of these days I'm going to see how much of it I can get. But this nether fortress down here proved to be very useful, very well suited to building a blaze farm, because one of the blaze spawners here was located in a part of the fortress that was in kind of a fairly large nether cave. So I dug a lot out, and I tore down a good-sized... Oh, hey, I didn't hit him. Good. Tore down a good-sized chunk of this nether fortress off that way there. And, you know, everything that was around the blaze spawner. And then built Ethos Blaze Farm design. Took me a while to get this thing figured out, the wiring and whatnot. I ended up putting this block here so I could stand here, you know, with F3 on while I was AFK watching these guys collect, and I could just look at the entities number and get a rough estimate of how many were in there. But it's up there, lava streams to provide enough light to turn it off. And let's see, this lever turns the lava off. This one activates the crusher, and this one hits the button. That one right there opens the gate to let more of them come down. And I've done a fair amount of enchanting here. I keep these instant damage potions here because they make it so much easier. And I also, because I was spending a lot of time here, you see, back in those days, to get a max level enchant, you needed 50 experience levels, and it was not a linear progression like it is now. And so each level required more experience than the one before it, and it took quite a bit to get 50 levels of experience. Along the way, around in Minecraft 1.2 or so, yes, there is water in my nether. And the way I did that was that back in pre-release beta 1.9 PR4, something like that, Silk Touch worked on ice. And so I got myself a Silk Touch pick. I spent days mining several double chests full of ice, because I was working on that ice castle at the time, which I don't remember if I've been by there yet or not, so I'll probably swing by it anyhow. And so I took some of the ice and came down in here and placed it and broke the ice. And at that time, when you placed ice in the nether and broke it, it produced a water block, a water source block that did not evaporate the second it was there. And so I have a few waterfalls in this little area here, obsidianizing a bunch of the lava surface down there. And I make it a point to leave these here sort of as a memorial to a time when it was possible to do that. And, you know, thinking back on it in retrospect, I really wished that I had watered a whole lot more of the Nether, because you can't do that now. It was in one of the later Beta 1.9 pre-releases that they removed the ability of Silk Touch to mine ice, and they didn't put it back until after they fixed the thing with ice making it possible to put water in the Nether. Oh, gee. You're dead. Okay, and since I was spending so much time here, I put in the netherwort farm. And this thing, when fully grown, you harvest the whole thing and replant. You have enough netherwort to make more potions than anybody's ever going to need. And while I was at it with putting water down here, I built a little farm. Water stream there, and wheat on either side. And it grows very slowly because of the environment and whatnot, but it does grow. Okay, did I get a skull from that? No. Rats. Those things are so hard to come by. Alright. Anyway. And at some point while I was here, somebody suggested that I try making a portal here, so I did. And I came up here and I made a portal. And I knew it was going to come out a long ways away because, you know, 700 blocks in the Nether, multiply that times 8, and you've got a long ways in the overworld. And so I ended up coming out here. Guess what? Another abandoned mine shaft. And so I dug myself a stairway going up here, and then came up to the surface at a place that is now known simply as Ocean Outpost number 2. Another place that is completely surrounded by ocean, and there's nothing here anywhere for at least 1,000 blocks in any direction. And this is the place where I started building what I refer to as the Mega Track. This is the longest minecart track I have ever built. You put a minecart here and start going that way. 20 minutes later, you will arrive at track 7 on the main base. It is, I estimate this track currently to be approximately 9,000 blocks long. I'm obviously not going to ride it right now. I don't think that would make for a very interesting video because, unfortunately, something a little over half of it is over ocean. I will eventually be continuing this track, just to see if I can't come up with the record for the longest minecart track ever built in a legitimate vanilla Minecraft world. Okay. Okay, now it ought to work. Doggone these things. I wish they hadn't messed with them. You know, I really wish they hadn't messed with minecarts. They have been goofy as all get out since at least 1.3. And so you take this real slow go until you hit a powered rail. because a lot of times you get in the minecart, and if it's up against something, you can't properly quite get into it, and if you try to click a button or something to activate the track, it ends up jumping you out of the cart. So let's see, I think it was somewhere after that outpost was first created. It was a long time after that outpost was created before I ever started the mega track. Okay. There's still something goofy about minecarts, because I don't feel like I'm actually in the minecart. Honestly, it really seriously feels like I'm standing on it. There's something different about them. Not quite sure what it is. Anyway. Let's see. I think I've gotten to the point where I'm no longer being nearly as sequential about this as I had originally hoped to be. I suppose I should have written down a list of points and places and things and whatnot, and, you know, done something like that in advance to plan this a little better. But then again, my decision to do it this way for this 2-year anniversary thing was kind of last minute, off the cuffish kind of thing. See, now this is the minecart view that I'm familiar with, the way the cart shows towards the bottom of the, right there where the health bar is and hot bar. And when I first got into this thing, it didn't show at all. It's like I'm looking up there almost, but I'm not. Okay, since we're here, I figure it makes sense to head down here. This is the direction I went to when I was first looking for nether wart. I did find another nether fortress down here. And this is also the direction I went when I got this idea to build a gold farm. And basically this would be a mob trap specifically designed for zombie pigmen, so that I could collect loads and loads of gold nuggets from their drops, sometimes gold bars, whatever, you know, and be able to craft that into all the gold I need. And it's a great idea in theory, and I know some people have made it work very admirably. I have yet to achieve any major success with it, and part of the problem is that I have never really found an area in here, in this nether, that has a large enough lava-only kind of area. What's happening to my frame rate? Good night. Good grief. Okay, dare I say, fix your game, Jeb. Or Dinnerbone, or whoever does it now. So I came by here, and I set up a little base here, and then back here I used slabs to build a bridge out this way, and then I built a platform of slabs. Hey, we caught one. No, we caught two. How about that? And up there, big piston pusher design, and because nether mobs don't care about light levels, it is very thoroughly torched up. You can see very well up there. And it goes just about almost, actually it goes to within a couple of blocks of the ceiling of the nether. It's high enough that there isn't room to build another level. But the challenge is getting enough area, enough land in this area, non-spawnable, so that nothing can spawn on it, which means basically going out here and paving the nether in half slabs. And I'll tell you what, I have gone through probably 3 or 4 double chests of cobblestone in this project of paving this place. I figured out the coordinates for a 300 block by 300 block area with the mob trap at the center. And I figure that if I can ever get the whole blasted thing paved, I'd probably have a pretty decent drop rate. You know, either get it paved or covered in falling lava or lava pools or whatever, you know. Basically something that mobs are not going to spawn on. And along the way in that project, I did take a detour, mostly because I got tired of placing lava. And up here, there is one place that I decided not to pave, and in fact I removed a bunch of half slabs that I put up here because I built an area for farming wither skeletons. And they spawn up on this bridge and down in that area where you can actually see one right now. I don't think I really want to get involved with them right now because I'm not really properly equipped for that. No, I'm not going to. I don't have any fire resist potions on me. But there's a good sized area in there. I figured out, like, there's a certain dimension where the intersections of a nether fortress are. Basically the spawning rules for the wither skeletons. On these bridges, they can spawn in a 5-block wide area, so the rails either side, like that wide of a space on this bridge, they can spawn. So I took the rails down, and that area over there, most of it is within a cave. So it was easy to do. Take the rails down, you still got netherrack walls, so you don't have a risk of running off the doggone thing. And then for the intersections, there's an even larger area for each intersection. So I built cobble platforms out there and extended it out and made lots of spawning area where wither skeletons can and in fact do spawn. I've seen them spawning all over the place. There's one down there right now, as a matter of fact, along with the zombie pigman wearing armor, or a skeleton wearing armor. I can't tell. No, he's a skeleton. A skeleton in full butter, and a couple of blaze. And no, I'm not going to go deal with them right now. And I have spent many hours pacing back and forth in this place, looking for wither skeletons and killing a good number of them, frankly. I started collecting a fairly significant amount of coal from them. And in all of that, well, I came up with the skulls necessary for doing the wither boss. Picked a spot in one of my branch mines to fight the wither. Did the fight, and that sucker, I got ripped off on that one because there was no wither star. I didn't see one drop, and there wasn't one there after the fight. Now this portal, I put this in here while I was working on this place. But one of the reasons was I wanted a handy place to be able to set up a a brewing area, because you know you can't put the water down in the nether. And so I set up a brewing stand here, a chest, and all that. And actually, I think this portal was originally in a different spot. I don't remember. I think it was. And there's a zombie spawner down there. Might do something with that someday. Probably not. I can't really think what I'd need one for, really. But I leave it there just in case. Oh, I remember. There was a place... I had a portal here before, and it went to a place that I don't even... I'm going to actually have to look back at some of my old videos to figure out where the portal was exactly that took me to a place that I was. There was a place in the overworld that the portal went to. It was several thousand blocks away from any place I had ever been. And there was an island. The portal was like on the edge of a ravine underground, under the ocean. And when I got to the surface, there was a few islands around there, and not much there. And I don't remember what I did that caused this portal to link to a different one, so I'm going to have to look that up sometime. Meanwhile, since I can't remember whether or not I've been by the ice castle, whether I did that in part 1 or the first time in part 2. You see, this is the problem with having to redo things. You don't always remember what you did. So because I don't remember that for sure, I'm going to take a walk, take a minecart ride or two on a walk, and head over to the ice castle, and I'll see you there. One of the times that I was down at the ocean outpost number 1, I decided to take a boat and ride north. And this is where I eventually made landfall. And up here, I got looking around, and I felt this would be a really good place to do some kind of a build, but I was a little stuck for exactly what to build. So in one of my vlogs, I showed the area and asked for suggestions. And what they basically added up to was an ice castle. And so I thought that was a pretty cool idea, pun intended. And I came down here and I built that little goofy looking 2-level shack as a work area, a work hut. And I eventually started a farm here, and much later on I put in a pumpkin farm and a melon farm. And over there in the building to the distance is an obsidian generator. I'm not exactly sure why. I didn't need a whole lot of obsidian most of the time, but I do remember spending a good amount of time in there making obsidian. But I started working on this thing, and it was around 1.9 PR4 that I was doing it, because I originally started out by making an ice thing the way people have done it in Minecraft for a long time, and that is to make a mold, pour water in it, let it freeze, break the mold, and move it up and do it again, you know. And then the enchantment came along, and Silk Touch, and I got a Silk Touch pick, and I mined ice like crazy out of these bays, and came up with about almost 4 double chests full of it, a good bunch of it that got used in this structure here. And as you can see, it's a long way from complete, and almost all of it is made of ice. This little bit of dirt is just some scaffolding that will be removed once things are sufficiently finished. I need to do something with these doorways to figure out a way to put doors in them or something. And I'm thinking maybe a different floor material through a lot of this other than ice. I'm not actually 100% certain. It's one of the reasons I haven't been doing anything here in so long, is that I kind of lost the momentum and couldn't quite figure out what to do next with it. I've got this deck here. I got the throne built, which was a design that one of y'all sent in, gave me when I was looking for throne ideas. And I'm sorry I don't remember who that was, and I didn't put a sign up there to say so. I do have a record of it somewhere, so I'll have to revisit that and correct that mistake about not putting in a sign. And now that I'm thinking about it, this has to be the first enchantment station. Yeah, enchanting room number 1. This is where I got that first silk touch pick. And in here, once I had nether wart, I set up a brewing station. And this is the primary brewing station for the whole empire. I do have that one that I much more recently put in the main base. And then there's that one at the gold farm that wants to be but isn't. And there's another abandoned mine down here. Down through these, through some cave in here somewhere. I forget exactly where. I haven't been there in ages. And of course, that's the shack to the branch mine. Always got to have a branch mine. You know, thinking about it, that switch should have been a pressure plate. I'll have to fix that sometime. And if I go over land that way a good distance, I will find myself back at the country estate. And back when I originally built this portal, the country estate is where it would take me. Of course, now it takes me into a spot in the Nether that explains why this portal wouldn't form one in that place. Because I did the math on where this portal should have been, and I went to that place in the Nether, and it was out here, in the middle, right there, over this lava lake. So naturally, obviously that must be totally solid all the way to the ceiling up there. If there was a space, it would have put the portal up there, but there wasn't, so no portal. Instead, it would link to the one at Gizmo's Island. So I did the math on it. I came out here, built the bridge out here, built the portal right in the exact spot where it needed to be, and that worked. And let's see. From here, I think the next major thing I did was from the main base, so I'm going to head back there and I'll catch up with you. Okay, I think it was somewhere around episode 200. Yes, as a matter of fact it was, episode 200. I decided that I wanted to do a little something different. So I went down here in the warehouse and I removed all my enchanted diamond armor and my enchanted weapons and all that stuff, and I put everything away. And, well, actually I need to be up here. And I decided I was going to do something that roundabout Australia is known as Walkabout. Basically, leave everything behind, and I decided to head off that way to the west and just kind of treat it almost, but not quite, like starting Minecraft new, only in the same world, because that was the one direction I had never gone before. So I took off that way, traveled for 3 or 4 Minecraft days, had a little bit of adventure here and there, and I was looking basically for a really good place to start a new build or a new base or something like that. And then I did find a pretty cool looking place, and now I'm going to take a minecart ride and cut to that location. And so I had come through all of this stuff here, and I was coming this way, and I proceeded across the desert as I had gotten really tired of spending a lot of time in forest and taiga, especially all that snow area and whatnot, because that stuff gets kind of old, especially when you've got jungle. Although this jungle was unusual in that a good bit of it was in the snow country and snowed on, so that looked a little bit different, at least I'll say that much for it. And I came along this way, and I believe it's It's right over here. Yes, it is. The mountain structure that you see starting to form up ahead there. Actually, it's on the other side of that mob tower. I came all the way out this way looking for a unique kind of place. And I found it in here. When I got in close enough to see this. You see up here, these two mountain peaks had a natural plateau going across the top between them. And I thought that looked so cool. And let's see, over on the other side of this mountain, there's a village. I think there's like one villager left in there, if that. And I decided that I just had to do something with that up there. And basically, my idea coming out this way was to just start off from nothing and not return to the main base until I could do so fully geared up in diamond gear. And it took a while. I've got a branch mine down there that eventually did yield a fair number of diamond. Now, I did a bit of landscaping on the hilltop up here. I put these trees in because they weren't there before. And let's see. Yeah, there's the village. I'm not sure if there's anybody still living down there or not. And up here I built a small shack with the idea that I'd do more landscaping and extend the flat top of this mountain out enough to build a decent size home of some kind. Not necessarily a mansion, just a nice place to live, you know. I never got very far with that, but I did pull a lot of stuff out of that mine. And an awful lot of which, especially the cobble, has been pulled out for the gold farm project. And I stayed here. I built a slime farm down in part of the branch mine down there to come up with the slimes needed for the sticky pistons in that thing. And I spent weeks, more weeks, lighting up underground stuff. Caves, abandoned mine shafts, and I think there's a ravine or two down there somewhere. And I finally did get that thing to where it was working pretty good. Got enough stuff lit up, both on the surface and down below, for it to work good. And got a decent amount of stuff. And a considerable amount of gunpowder, with which I started making TNT. Along the way, I built this bridge across. Enchanting station here. I had a fun afternoon one day. Spent 4 hours. It was it was right after they had added that you would get experience for mining certain ores and for smelting things and stuff like that. So I went down there and I did a bunch of mining. I came up here and I made and enchanted a full suit diamond gear, full diamond tools, everything, all in one afternoon of mining. It was actually pretty cool. Whoops. Okay, this down here is the sort of a main transfer level or whatever, an observation deck. There was a suggestion for building a flying buttress out there and trying to make it look sort of like customized natural, like a head natural. You see, there was that pillar right there that it's built on was there naturally, and it was kind of floating a little bit, and just built on top of it to expand it up to here and then down on to expand it into the ground, and it ended up looking pretty good. Up top side here, go over here, go down a tunnel, go up here, another ladder, and we're inside that little shack. And after a while, I may or may not have said this before, but there are times when I really hate doors. One of the things I absolutely love about modded Minecraft is the portable hole. No need for doors. But anyway, I eventually reached a point where I decided I had made sufficient progress, that I had met my goal, and could go ahead and return to the main base and back into the rest of the world. Now, this project came a little bit later, but since I'm on the way past it, I'll stop here. This project was basically to recreate an area that I had encountered in muds many years ago, an area called Underdark. And I've actually found a map of the area, and I've been trying to recreate it as closely as I can. And I've got several of the main streets started, and this main drag here, the Slaver's Route, is started, and there's the doorways or placeholders for some of the buildings that need to be in here. But it's one of those really major projects that I could literally spend months working on. And every once in a while I go down there and I do a little bit more on it and so on. And you know, it's a project I may be working on it for a year, I don't know. Because it's a little bit here, a little bit there as I get inspiration for something, or you know, whatever it takes. So along in here, yeah, here it is. I built a minecart track, of course. I carved a tunnel out of solid rock. Originally I was blasting, and then I just decided to take the advice of a viewer and just go ahead and mine it. And I did. I mined that sucker all the way back to main base. This is another one of those really long tracks. It takes just over 4 minutes to ride it end to end. And for the most part, it's straight. There's a turn here and down there a little bit. It turns to the east, and it goes all the way back to track 6, I believe. I think it's track 6 at the main station. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and ride this track. This tunnel cuts through at least 3 abandoned mine shafts and at least 1 ravine along the way. I think honestly that if I were to mine everything I could get within 50 blocks in any direction from this tunnel, I'd come away with quite a bit of stuff. So anyway, as I said, I'm going to ride on back, and I'll make a cut and catch you there. And so here we are, back where we started, the main base. And I think I've pretty much covered most, if not, I'm not sure if I've covered everything, but I've certainly covered most of the high points of what's gone on in the last 274 episodes or so. And in the last couple of years of making Minecraft videos. And I've had a lot of fun with it, and I'm going to keep having a lot of fun with it. Not only in FTB, because, you know, let's face it, those mods are fun. They add so much to the game. It's amazing. I'll admit, yes, there's a few of them that are kind of a little bit on the overpowered side, but what the heck? It's all in good fun, you know? If you can't have fun doing it, why bother? And it is a blast. But there is still vanilla Minecraft, and I have not lost any interest in vanilla Minecraft. And part of what this whole 2-year thing is about is that I'm going to be doing episodes in this world again. And I'm going to try to keep them on a reasonably sort of regular basis. 1 or 2 a week at least, I think. And we'll see from there. There is a lot yet that I want to do in this world. Off that way up to the northeast, I finally found a witch hut after they were introduced. Because after they were introduced, I deliberately went up that way into chunks that I had not generated yet and found one. And there's a lot of work to do there to turn that into a working witch farm. Which would be cool because it's like free redstone and glowstone dust and a few other things, I think. And then off that way, off this way, beyond the mansion where the village is that I built up, that thing somewhere in that region, I think I want to see about building an iron golem farm. I figure over there, because there's lots of villagers over there, and it'd be a little bit reasonably more handy to grab some of those villagers and send them into the golem farm when it's ready for them. So I would like to build something like that. I want to finish that witch farm. And there's a lot of other things, like all the various mob systems need to be updated so that they're using the new hoppers and a lot of the new mechanics and whatnot to be able to automatically sort and store items. So I want to work on stuff like that, and who knows what else may come along in the future. In the meantime, I know this video is starting to get close to an hour long, so I'm going to cut it off here and say thanks for watching. Take it easy. I'm out of here. We'll see you next time.